Welcome back, my butterfly kaleidoscope, to One Hook, Two Hands. This is Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands. And today we are doing our Stitch Away Crochet weekly update, which is a collaboration with the lovely Teresa from Critters Crochet. And I am excited because we've been working on our Sophie's Universe blankets, and I'm going to talk about what I've got so far and those kinds of things. For those of you who are new here, welcome to One Hook, Two Hands. As I said before, I am Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands. And I like to call my subscribers butterflies because butterflies bring me hope and joy. And each one of you do that to me each and every day. If you want to see more videos like what you see today, feel free to hit that like button, flutter on down and land on the like button, because the kaleidoscope is the way that butterflies land, when they come up or they come down. And so feel free to land or flutter onto that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to land on that subscribe button. We'd be grateful to have you as a part of the butterfly kaleidoscope. But here at One Hook, Two Hands, we are doing a collaboration with, like I said, the lovely Teresa from Critters Crochet. And we call our collaboration Stitch Away Crochet. Guys, sorry, I'm still getting over this cold and it's kind of fluctuating, so bear with me. But Stitch Away Crochet is the place where the thought behind Stitch Away Crochet is that our butterflies and my butterflies, her sloths or critters, come to the mulberry bush, and at the mulberry bush everybody does things together in community. And that's the whole purpose of Stitch Away Crochet, is that we're stitching a Stitch Away crochet. And so we're here to help everybody complete their projects, and a lot of us have either started or gotten halfway through a Sophie's Universe blanket. And so our goal is to help encourage people to actually finish their blankets. And so as a part of that, for me, my goal is to help people finish this, and we come on once a week and show our progress. We talk about where we are in the process, things that we recommend, or I like to add some tips and tricks with certain stitches, which you'll see later in this video. But yeah, and just kind of encourage each other to keep going, to take pictures and show their progress on our community pages, and excuse me guys, and overall just keep going, right? Just keep stitching. It's why it's called Stitch Away Crochet. Our goal is to stitch away crochet, because that's how we get things done, right? It's about first downs, because first downs will eventually get you touchdowns or completed projects. So that's what we're doing with this blanket. If you are new to Sophie's Universe, Sophie's Universe started out as a weekly crochet along that people got would essentially buy the kit, and then every week or every month they would get a updated so many rounds of a pattern to complete that they didn't know what the next part of the pattern was going to be. Excuse me guys. And so it was slowly worked. That said, it is now compiled and into a book that you can buy online if you want to buy the pattern. I was a part of the original one where it was the giveaway, so I have the PDF form. And yeah, you can just work on each little bit, however much you get. Some weeks, because again, we're also a spoonie community, and if you're new to spoonies, that's just somebody who has a chronic condition, health condition. Some weeks we may not get anything done on our Sophie's blankets, or we only may get one round instead of a whole part done. That happens. It's whatever. But as part of having this is a way of accountability and being able to come together in community. And so if you are able to get nothing done that week, it's okay. But it's just a way of coming to the bush as a reminder of, hey, I need to continue working on that kind of deal. So this week, if you saw me last week, I finished part 1, which is the center circle here. This week I did parts 2 and 3. So somewhere in here is part 1 or part 2 and part 3. But I did parts 2 and 3, which gets us to round 25. of the Sophie's Universe blanket. And this is what I call the inner circle on the Sophie's Universe, because what's going to happen is in the next part, I believe, I think it's the full next part, it may be 2 parts, you'll end up creating a square around the circle, and I call that the inner square. And then over time, the square reverses into a different, so you have like your initial square, but then it'll work the pattern in a way to where it creates that it becomes a diamond inside of the bigger square. So I think we finished creating the first square in the next part. I haven't looked ahead again to make sure, but we are on our way to doing that. And so I am doing my Sophie's Universe in cotton. Some of it is, a lot of it's, I love this cotton. Some of it is Premier cotton sprout or cotton sprout worsted. And then I have some random cottons in here as well. And so this is where we've gotten. Now there's several stitches that are really important that I talk about that you're going to see in some of my videos, some later parts of this video, which I'm going to start now. I'm going to let you guys go and see that part. You're going to see some of the time lapse from doing these sections, but then you'll also see where I come in and give some instructions on, like, say, the tulip bobble stitches, popcorn stitches here, or I talk about the front post double or treble crochets that you do, also about how to even out your work a little bit, and then also the crab stitch, which is this last row here. But I kind of talk about these different stitches in a way to kind of like help anybody who may have any issues, and I'll see you on the other side. So I just wanted to take a minute in this video and emphasize some of these really cool stitches that we're starting to do in our Sophie's Universe pattern. And I really like this because it really shows you a different way to make flowers in a blanket. So on this previous row, we did some front post double crochets that are the stems of the flowers for the row that I'm doing, which is row 18. Yeah, row 18. And then you're also doing these bobble stitches that, if my camera will behave, you can see. And I'm trying to see if I can't make it a little brighter, guys. I apologize. But really cool stitch, right? Well, and you'll be doing a lot of these over the course of the Sophie's Universe blanket, but I really enjoy doing them, and so I wanted to come on here and show them. Now, I just did this one, and the next part of the pattern does call for the next 4 stitches to be half double crochets in this row. And so just as a side note, when you do that, when you do a bubble stitch, you have to make sure whether or not you need to skip this next stitch. In this particular pattern, you don't need to skip this stitch. You need to use the stitch. So make sure that you don't miss the stitch that you're supposed to be getting. 2, 4. Then we're gonna front post treble. So this is another cool stitch. So this is a front post treble. So you're going to be doing a treble crochet. So you yarn over twice on your hook, but it's a front post treble crochet. So you go from, since I'm right-handed, you go right side under, around the back, and through the front on the left-hand side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you have 3 pull through 2s in your stitch, and this is going to help create stems. It's going to help create some raised patterns in your blanket and causes this really pretty looking pattern to start to emerge, and gives you some raised depth to your Sophie's Universe blanket. So you do that, then it is and when I have to skip a stitch after a front post treble, because sometimes it's hard to see your stitches, I like to flip my work over just a little tip, and I'll go, okay, here's my stitch, this is the one I need to skip. So then I will put my finger right there, come around, go into the stitch I'm supposed to go into. 2, 2, and this one. 2 half double, 1, 2. We're getting ready to make another front post treble. So we yarn over twice, back, front, back, front, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And so we're trying to get this nice little V raised pattern here. I really love those colors, by the way. I did a good job in picking those. And then you need to skip a stitch and then half double in the next 3. So we're going to skip, come in and back around. There's this one. We're going to skip this stitch and go into this stitch. So yarn over 3, and then I'm going to show you how to do the bobbles, which I love. And I actually learned how to do this little technique from this pattern. So you're going to do 5 double crochets in the top of your front post double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this is the one stitch most people have trouble with on the Sophie's Universe blanket for what we're about to do, and hopefully this will focus for me a little better. So you're going to pull your yarn out just a little bit so you have this loop so it's easier to grab. You're going to go back to the first double crochet of your 5 double crochets. So that's right here. You're going to insert your hook here. You're going to put the hook through the loop, cinch it tight, pull through, cinch, and chain 1. You do not need to forget that chain 1. That is a part of the stitch, okay? That is what closes it off. That's what makes the bubble, or the popcorn, the popcorn. So you need to have that stitch, and it creates our nice little tube looking flower here. And we are back to 4 half double crochets. Right. And then we're going to front post treble. 1, 2, 3. We're going to come back here. We're going to skip this stitch into this one. So this is where it gets a little tight sometimes. 1, 2, 2 in the next one. 1, 2. Then 1, 2. Yarn over twice, front post treble. Skip 1, into here. 1, 2, 3, and we're back to our next bobble, our next popcorn. So you're gonna go 5 double crochets in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull out, come back into your first double crochet post, insert your hook through here and into this loop, cinch it tight, pull that through, and then chain 1. Now that chain 1 is considered a part of this popcorn stitch. Okay, and we're back to going on around. So I just wanted to pop in and show this little stitch, because these two special stitches, because these techniques are ones that we'll use throughout the blanket, but are really cool and important. Also, I do want to mention, this is where it starts to curl a little bit more on this blanket. Don't get freaked out by the curl or the bunch up, especially with worsted weight. A, you need to block this blanket, and 2, even if you don't block it, it will even out the bigger it gets. So just be aware. You can either let it happen naturally, or you can block it and make it look pretty beforehand. I personally like blocking it because I've seen what not blocking it can do, and it takes a little longer. So it's up to you, but have fun. Those are my big tips for this part of the blanket. I may come back on with a couple more tips depending on how far I get in this week. I will see, and I'll see you on the flip side. Hey guys, so coming back on to talk about one of the stitches, or kind of more about how to even out your stitches as you go when you're doing Sophie's Universe. So there's going to be a couple places, because of previous stitches and rows, you're going to have this like little dip, like if you can see it right here, where you kind of have like a little dip because it's pulling on the yarn from previous rows when you've got these front post double crochets right here. And so you kind of have to do a looser stitch on top of those just to make it help even out. So when you're doing those, yeah, that's a single crochet. So we're doing 2 half double crochets right here. So we do one that's normal tension, but then right here on top of this one, I'm going to do it a little bit looser and try to even out my stitch. And I kind of look at it to try to make it an even circle as we go around, so that way you kind of get a more even stitch across the top like I have right here. And then there's a front post double here, so and again I try to match it to what that previous stitch was, and then the same, especially with the stitch right next to it, you can maybe do it a little tighter or a little looser depending on what you need to get it an even stitch. And then you just go back to kind of your normal tension. But that's one tip I would give when you're doing stitches like this, where you're trying to kind of even out as you go. But that is one little tip I would give, is try to evaluate if you've got a dip like I do over, like you do kind of naturally coming in these parts, is try to adjust your tension so that you get more of an even row across your round. And so it's just kind of, you kind of have to play that by ear as you go, but that does happen in a lot of different places. As you start to do this, it'll kind of even out over time naturally. But if you want an immediate, more favored stitch, the best way to do that is to do an even work across. In terms of by adjusting your tension as you go in these stitches. Now let me just check and make sure that is 15. Yep. So we're gonna do 2 halves right here. And this one's not as big as like some of the other ones have been. Like this one's kind of a pretty big dip. This one's kind of not as big of a dip, so your tension adjusting isn't gonna be as bad right here. But again, you kind of do that as you go, and you kind of even it out, so across the board you have a much more even looking row. And that's one of the, so this is another tip that I would recommend while you're working on your Sophie's Universe project, just to keep in mind, is if you have a big dip from your previous row, kind of try to even it out with your next row based on your tension. And just, you know, be simple about it, but kind of play with it if you need to do tighter or looser, and then get back to your normal tension. But yeah, that is what I would recommend doing when it comes to these little gaps in your Sophie's Universe. Okay, so I had almost forgot about the crab stitch and how some people have a real hard time with this. I think it really makes the blanket, so it's important to do it. It is an optional piece of this blanket, but I think it's really important and gives just an added depth to the blanket. And so I wanted to come on and show you how to do this, because I do think it gets a little confusing to people, because essentially you're doing a single crochet in the reverse way. So like normally when you crochet, if you're right-handed like I am, you crochet from the right side to your left-hand side, from your right side to your left-hand side, right? Well, in this stitch, we're going from the left to the right. And people can get a little confused about it. It's really simple once you get going and you do it, and it just creates this extra uber little finishing touch to it things, and I really like it as a good a little bit of a raised textured element to things. So I'm going to just take a second and show you guys how to do this. So as you can see, I've already been doing it. This is what's called a crab stitch, because you get like a little raised thing that almost looks like a little crab on the end of your blanket. But you've got your loop on your hook here, and I am trying to make it focus, guys. Hopefully it'll stay focused, we'll see. But you get your little loop on your hook. You take your hook, you insert it into your next stitch, to, in my case, to the right of where I'm currently working. You yarn over, pull through, and now you've got essentially what you would have for a single crochet here. You yarn over and you pull through both of those loops, and there you create your little crab. So just again, go into your stitch, yarn over, pull up two, or pull up one loop, yarn over, pull through two. And I do think it takes a little while to kind of get your tension right on this, if it's new to you, but it's really simple. And again, it just adds this extra element. If you're doing the Sophie's Universe blanket, I do think you really do need to do the crab stitch, because I think it adds just a depth to the blanket in the location that it's in. And you'll see what I mean when we get to the next round, is the next part. But this is done at the end of part 3. And it is just so worth it. I really like it. I think it adds an extra texture element, and it's time to keep going. I will see you guys back in the main video. Welcome back, butterflies. So that was Sophie's Universe part 2 and part 3. And that gets you from, like I said, from this row right here all the way up to row 25, which is the last one with this crab stitch. And that completes the inner circle. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you have any ideas or want to show off your own progress on your Sophie's blankets, feel free to do that in my community page. And I will see you guys next week here at Stitch Away Crochet. Hope you guys have a good one. Bye. P.S. Don't forget to go and like Teresa's video of Stitch Away Crochet, or check her out over at Critters Crochet and see her progress this week. Love y'all. Bye.